What's going on? Lindsey here. I'm at Mass Apparel in Austin, Massachusetts. It's 2018. Hope everyone's having a great year so far. One of my goals for the new year was to get back to interviewing, and that's why we're here today. I'm here with my guy, Nik Weikert.
Good to see you, man.
How you doing, man?
Very well. How are you?
Good, good. So yeah, I wanted to start this new interview series, and I want it to be a little more than what I was doing in the past. As you know, I've been interviewing musicians and artists throughout the years. I want to switch it up and talk to people like yourself that are entrepreneurs and doing cool things that inspire me. Your thing is photography.
Yep.
First of all, let's get to the basic. What's been like your start in photography? How'd you start doing photography?
So basically, I started probably like 14 years ago or so. My mom was a big photographer. She would always have her camera on her, so I would pick that up and just play around with it and whatnot. What really did it though was filming skate videos with my brother. You know, that kind of got me into just capturing images in general. And then I bought a little Canon PowerShot with all my birthday money one year, and that just kind of it all blew up from there. You know.
Nice. And you also have a background in photography, right? You went to school for it?
Yep. Yeah, I have a BFA from the Art Institute of Boston. Classically studied for 4 years. Took a bunch of classes in high school, and you know, I've always been learning since then.
Nice. And you talk about learning. And one thing that I admire about like watching you over the years, you know, your photography on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever. Whenever I've been able to see it, I feel like you're a real student of the game. I feel like you really know your knowledge about photography, whether it's, you know, I always hit you up about equipment and camera questions. How important do you think it is to have that kind of knowledge of photography and like the equipment and stuff beyond just knowing how to take really nice pictures?
For me, personally, I love that kind of stuff. So it's super important for me. But if we're talking like for other people to know it, I think if you want to call yourself a professional, to some extent you have to know the technical aspect of things, like what is aperture, what is ISO, what if, you know, at this focal length, how much depth of field are you going to get? Because like that's how you get professional results. But if you're just like a hobbyist, you're just in it for fun, you don't necessarily need to know it. Like, you know, there's plenty of activities that I do that I don't dive into the technical aspect of it because it's just something fun. But for me personally, like I love that stuff. Like I study MTF charts of lenses before I buy them. I look at, you know, like how film reacts depending on if it's underexposed or overexposed, the different colors and how the chemicals react. So me personally, I think it's important, but for others, it's, you know, on a need to know basis, nice, if you will.
So along the same lines where we talk, like you said, you know, you have to be like, you have to know photography to really call yourself a professional. So what I like to think of like the status of photography in 2018 at this point, it reminds me a lot of kind of how the home studio was to artists, especially in like hip hop. How once like Macs and equipment to record music became cheaper and easier to get, there was like this rush of artists and different people entering music that normally wouldn't be able to due to the prices of equipment and accessibility. What I think with photography is that Instagram, things like Instagram, you know, being able to purchase a Canon, and just kind of and editing, those three things have been able to open the door for people to call themselves photographers, whether they are or not. But in the same sense, I compare those two different things. What are your thoughts on people that, you know, kind of what I guess 2018 photography in terms like Instagram and kind of creating those like crazy visuals and stuff for social media platforms?
Well, so I have like a love-hate relationship with photography at this point right now, because, you know, a lot of people are getting into it and that's great. Like I love photography. It's done so much for me that I want to see other people get that same kind of reaction from it. But I also think that it's kind of been dumbed down a little bit because of things like Instagram and the accessibility. And like, that sounds kind of bad when I say it, but I just feel like some of the art of it is kind of lost. Like you can just take a photo on your iPhone, put a filter on it, and it looks good. You know, there's no more like, there's no thought or craft that goes into it as much as, you know, back in the 90s when you had to shoot on film or like a crappy digital camera and actually like put effort into it. So I kind of have mixed feelings on where photography is standing right now. If that kind of answers your question, like I like that there's more people getting into it, but I don't like that a lot of the creative aspects of it are almost kind of declining because of ease of use, if you will.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know I don't call myself a photographer.
I'd say you are.
I feel like, I mean, that's since I feel like I just like taking pictures.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel like I don't have the knowledge you have in terms of photography. But for me, being able to create things that visually inspire me is what I enjoy, and not so much the technical aspect. Even though I'm open to learn those type of things.
Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily think that just because someone doesn't know those things doesn't mean that they're not a photographer. I think it's just I don't know, as someone who like loves learning about that stuff, I would like to see more people get into the technical side of it. But that's just kind of like because that's what I like, you know, like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Know.
I mean,
so I'm not trying to put anyone down by any means. You know, I think that there's a lot of photography that is being lost because you can take the easy route with it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like by no means am I trying to downplay.
No, of course not. I think when you're passionate about something, you just want it to get its proper respect.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
You know,
exactly.
The same
yeah.
thing, like, not to bring back to music. I mean, well, I guess to bring back to music because we'll go into that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, with hip hop, it's like there's people that like kind of the old school or like, you know, older generation. When it comes to hip hop, they want people to know their history, regardless of if they're skilled at music or not.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of music, I can't remember how we exactly connected, but I'm pretty sure I can't remember. It was obviously like 5-6 years ago at a show or something, Boston hip hop show, something of that sort. But that question that leads me to this question. You know, you've done different type of photography things. You know, done landscape, all types of things, little projects here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But what I continue to notice, you always come back to hip hop in some form, whether you're shooting music videos, doing artist portraits, covering events. What continues to inspire you to stay like rooted to the scene and to keep, you know, kind of contributing and linking up with different artists and whatnot?
I think what it is for me, one, I just love hip hop. Like I love the music. You know, it's done a lot for me over the years. It's been my number one genre that I've listened to for so long. So to be so connected and so close to artists that are local and doing, you know, something that I love, it just, you know, how could I move away from that? And I've built so many close friendships from it, you know, like and I want to, it's nice to be a part of something and watch it grow. Like, you know, when I first really got into the Boston hip hop scene, you know, there was obviously big name artists and kind of stuff like that from Boston, but now, you know, you have like your cousin Stiz and Token and everyone's blowing up, and it's kind of cool to watch everyone flourish and be a part of that and document it. And then, you know, in like 20, 30 years when Boston's the new York of hip hop or whatever, I'm going to have this whole collection of photos that these documentarians are going to come by and
it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I'll sell those to them, some money on the side.
So money. What for anyone that's trying to monetize photography? Like, what have been some ways that you kind of reached out? You've vented out beyond like the music scene to, you know, make some money off your passion.
Yeah. So I'll be very honest up front. Like, I'm not the best when it comes to the business side of photography. You know, I am a freelancer. I do make money off of my photos, but it's hard to charge your friends money for photos because, like, you know, they're your homies. But outside of hip hop, generally what it is like, you know, a friend of a friend needs a photographer, and so I'll do a gig for them, and then they recommend me to somebody else, and vice versa. So it's freelance for me has been like a lot of word of mouth. Like, I haven't gone out and looked at like Craigslist for people who need photographers or anything like that. It's all kind of been like this natural growth just through word of mouth. And I like that because I find myself doing random things. Like, I'll shoot a hip hop show one night, and then, you know, I'll be documenting the Charles River Regatta, and then I'll be taking photos in a jewelry store, or doing a video for a nonprofit or something like that. It kind of keeps it, you know, different and exciting. You know, it changes, which I like. Yeah.
Difference always good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
If you had one, I guess, what is your ideal shot? If you had only one camera, one shot left, what would you use it on? Whether it's a certain person, certain areas, certain.
Man, that's a tough.
Like,
one.
what would you want to capture?
Oh man, I don't know. Cause like I love portraits. I love photographing people and then capturing those emotions and being able to tell a story about someone just through one image. But then, you know, like I love snowboarding and capturing landscapes and doing like more creative artistic stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to answer that because it's just, you know, I just have such like a broad subject range that I can't lump it into one, you know, one subject matter at least that I would want to shoot.
Word. I have to let you off the hook on that one.
Thank you.
So to wrap things up, where do you really see what do you see yourself doing in the future? What do you see the state of photography? Like, what do you know, we've had the Instagram that came and kind of really changed things up.
Yep.
So there's always going to be platforms. Cameras are going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure people are going to come up with some crazy ideas that we're not thinking of right now.
Oh,
What
yeah.
are your own personal thoughts on it?
Well, I, for one, would like to see resurgence in film photography.
I've been seeing that a lot.
Yeah, you know, it's there's kind of like this whole like retro look that's coming back, and so then film is then in turn coming back as well. And I think when digital first came out, you know, it really got popular 15, 20 years ago. People were like, this is great, I'm going to worry about film, I'm going to get it developed and buy one camera. Yeah, it's easy to go. But now that kind of like excitement of digital is like, okay, yeah, like we get it instantly. We can get that from our phone, we can get it from our tablet, our computer even with the camera up top there. And I think people are starting to realize what film was able to give us that digital can't. And so I would really like to see, you know, Kodak is bringing Ektachrome back. They're starting to bring back some of their dead stocks of film. So I'd like to see that happen a little bit more, and I think that there is a small chance that that could happen. So, you know, that's what I'd like to see at it. Where I think it's actually going to go, I'm not really too optimistic, honestly. You know, because everyone's, you know, like the portrait mode in the iPhone.
Yeah.
Like anyone can take a good photo now, just, you know, so I know a lot of people, I work at a camera shop, so I sell a lot of cameras, and I have people come in and be like, well, why do I need a camera if I have this iPhone in my pocket? I don't need to hire a photographer to do my product shots, I can just do them myself now. So it's almost kind of becoming, it's like, it's an industry that's growing exponentially, but on the professional level, it's almost kind of like dying down a little bit.
For anyone that's interested in getting into photography, it was just beginning, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
Experiment. Just play around. You know, what really got me hooked on photography was picking up my mom's digital camera and putting it onto long exposure mode, and we were driving home, you know, from wherever. It was nighttime, so there was a lot of car lights out, and I just started, you know, holding down the shutter and moving the camera around, and I discovered you can make shapes with the lights. So I ended up like making circles and squares and hearts, and I was like, holy crap, like this is an amazing medium that I can do stuff that I never knew was possible and experiment and have fun. So the best advice that I can give someone is just go out and shoot. Doesn't matter if it's a good photo or a bad photo, just have fun and experiment.
Oh, well, thank you, man.
Lindsey, thank
Definitely
you, man.
appreciate it. Where can everyone, I know you're like where can everyone find you on social media when you return?
When I'm on a little sabbatical right now, you know, just like a week or two. But you can find me at Nik Weikert on everything: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, my website, and that's NIKLASWEIKERT, and it's nicholasweikert.com.
Cool, and check out the description below. All the information will be there. And thank you for watching.
Thank you.